friends, welcome back to Kiki's Closet. I hope you've all had a wonderful and safe Thanksgiving. Both of today's guests have already been seen on The Great White Way, and now they're gearing up to come to a streaming platform near you. Let's go!
Come on and come and play in Kiki's Closet today!
You saw my first guest dance on Broadway, play football on TV, and now he's here in Kiki's Closet. Please help me welcome my friend, Mr. Damon J. Gillespie.
What's up?
How are you? How's your heart?
It's good. Hanging in there. Same way all of us are at this point. I'm great.
Damon, you've had such an exciting career, but I want to start at the beginning. You grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Were you going to theater and seeing dance at an early age? When did you first get that bite?
I had always been a part of the arts in some way without even knowing it. My mom sent me to a performing arts school in 6th grade as a ballet major because I had been dancing for years, and I ended up discovering musical theater, and I said, nah, I want to do this. I hate ballet. I don't want to do ballet. And then 2 years later, I was back in a ballet class because in order to do musical theater, you need to do ballet. When I decided I wanted to do this as a career was actually my freshman year of high school. I went to New York on a school trip and we would go see shows, and I saw Billy Elliot. That was my very first Broadway show, and I said, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to perform for the rest of my life.
Do you remember the first time you saw yourself represented on stage?
I've been thinking about this a lot, and I didn't feel like I was actually seen on stage where I was like, oh, I have the ability to play anything. Maybe it was Hamilton, but I also had it in my mind that just because I was a person of color didn't mean that I couldn't play anything. So I always saw myself as like, oh, I could be the first biracial Gabe in Next to Normal, or I could play Princeton because I can do character voices. I always saw myself on stage as the character, not who was playing it. It's just, that's just kind of how I saw things.
So you go to Performing Arts High School and then you went to college in Chicago for a little bit, yeah?
2 years. My senior year of high school, I had auditioned for Newsies, and then I didn't get it, obviously, so I went to college and then came back and auditioned again, didn't get it. Then I go into my sophomore year of college, audition again for the tour, book the tour, and then while I was waiting to go to the tour, they called me and said, hey, could you be an immediate replacement for Broadway? And I was like, what? What? And they're like, yeah, can you be here in like 2 days? And I was like, no, I can't. I cannot. I said, I am literally opening a show this weekend. I work at Chick-fil-A, so I don't have any money, and I want to be there. Of course, I want to be there. I got to get there. So we worked some stuff out. I got the call on like a Wednesday, and then that weekend I opened the show and left and was there by Monday to start rehearsals. That's what brought me to New York, and I've been here ever since.
That's literally insane. Were you even able to process what was happening, that you were making your Broadway debut, since it happened so quick?
I will never forget that experience. And also because it was short-lived, because I got there in June, we got the notice the day before I went on, and so I had 2 months with the show.
So you're doing Newsies on Broadway. 2 years later, you come back to Disney on Broadway in Aladdin.
I had been auditioning for Aladdin since I was in Chicago. It was one of my first professional auditions. By the time I actually got it, I was like really excited. It was week 3 of my performances, and we're doing Prince Ali, which is the opening to Act 2. And there's a lot of costume changes. There's a lot happening in that number. And there's a part where we have to like jump over these spears, and they're on the ground. It's not insane. But I jump over one, I clear it. I jump over the other one, I don't clear it, and I hit the spear. It doesn't go through my foot, but that reaction's always perfect. So I clipped the spear and I twisted my ankle and I went down, like on stage. And then I was like, oh shoot. And I got up and I started to like go and do the rest of my track, and I just went, whoo, and I felt this incredible pain and I was limping. And I was like, oh no. And so I'm still doing the show. I'm like, I can't stop. There's still costume changes and things to be done. But I carried on. I went through the whole show. I went to the doctor the next day, and it turns out that I fractured not a metatarsal, but it was closer to the heel. Thank God it wasn't the ankle, because I would have had surgery. But 3 weeks, I was back on Broadway, and then that was the end of it.
But your injury kind of inspired your next career move, and that was jumping on screen.
Yeah, I had been auditioning for television and film. Thank the Lord I have such an amazing team behind me. I really wouldn't be anywhere without them. And they had been getting me to audition for a bunch of things in television and film and theater and voiceovers, print, whatever they could get me, they were sending me in for it. Literally 2 years later, I was on screen, which was bonkers to me.
I think most audiences really got to know you from the show Rise, which was a musical inside of a high school drama, and you played the lead football player turned musical theater actor on stage. What was that like, getting to have those two worlds kind of combined?
Real, because that was my life. I'm from the South. We play football. We love, like, there's my Stanton jersey right there, and I don't miss the Titans games. Like, I'm a football fan. So when this character came up and I was like, oh, this will be cool, like, this is kind of like my middle school years, or like, you know, early high school years. And because of my career with Newsies, you know, only getting like 2 months, and then Aladdin 3 weeks, you know, it was one of those things where I was like, I booked the pilot, and so I was like, you know, this is it, you know, this is awesome. I got in with NBC. I did a pilot for them. Like, that's awesome. Like, this will be cool. And then I'll have to find another job. And then we got picked up, and I went, holy shit, what is happening? Rise and Robbie in itself was so close to my heart because it was me for a long time.
And we've gotten to see you on screen since. We saw you on The Society, which I was truly obsessed with. I remember texting you when I was watching it. Oh my God, this show is so great. And I'm so bummed that COVID screwed things up and we're not going to get a second season of that. That bummed me out, especially because it ended on a cliffhanger. But we don't have to fret, because we're going to see you on screen in another Netflix TV show coming up soon, Tiny Pretty Things.
It premieres on Netflix on December 14th.
What are you telling your friends? What's one little thing you can let us in on?
It is not for children. It's a young adult series. The way I kind of categorize it is, if you were a fly on the wall of a like high school ballet program or conservatory, and then added a little murder mystery to it. Think about what it was like in high school and college, and I'm talking about everything. The dark stuff, but also like the let me get my tea, you know what I mean? Like that, you know, TJ with the eyes, with the eyebrows, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Get ready, because it's a lot. It is a lot.
I can't wait. So one final question.
Yes.
Our industry is kind of shifting because of what's happening in the world with Black Lives Matter. And I want to know, what changes would you like to see implemented in the industry when everything is back up to speed?
There's a couple of things, because I've actually been thinking about this a lot. I want to see honesty. And what I mean by that is, I want to see people getting cast because the only way that this character can be played is by this person. And I want it to be an authentic voice. And that comes with casting America Now. That comes with, you know, seeing people of color, you know, giving it a new voice. Even like when you looked at something like Harry Potter, when that big controversy of, you know, Hermione being black, and it was like, when you watch the play, it was still Hermione, and it was a different take on the character. It's okay to change some things up. I want to see what that means to have a Hispanic person in the role, or an Asian person in the role, someone of African descent, not just African American, but like African descent in the role. What does it mean? What does it mean for that to be a thing? That's what I want to see.
Well, Damon, I want to thank you so much for joining me here on Kiki's Closet. I'm so grateful that we got to catch up, because it's been a while since we got to see each other, but I really am appreciative. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you. I'll hope to see you soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Bye.
Please help me welcome my friend, Jason Gotay. Hey, Jason, what's going on?
What's up, Teach? Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. How has your heart been? How have you been?
I love that question so much. My heart has been okay. And this is like a really hot take. It's kind of like an unpopular answer, and it's really loaded because our country and all of us time of such pain right now. And I am immensely privileged, and I feel like I don't even have the right to say this, but the past 6 months have been a little bit of a reset for me emotionally in a way that I think has been really positive in some ways. Getting to like stop and pause and take stock is not something that I really get to do a lot. And I'm sure you relate because we're like running to a million different things all the time. So to get to stop, to be forced to stop, has been really wonderful in a lot of ways. And of course, really challenging as well. So it's been crazy, but I am okay. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm just trying to find ways to stay artistically fulfilled, which is why this show has been so great for me, talking with friends about the theater and things that we miss and catching up with old friends. This has been really good for me. I want to talk to you about your exciting career. Let's start at the beginning. You're a city kid.
Yes, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've lived here basically my whole life except for one forgotten year when I was at Emerson College as a freshman. And then I came back and I never left.
Did you grow up going to the theater?
Oh yeah, I did all the Disney shows, of course. My first show was Beauty and the Beast, and then we saw The Lion King, and yeah, Beauty and the Beast was definitely what did it. I was obsessed with The Wizard of Oz, obviously. It's like a big, bright world that I wanted to be a part of.
And then you said you went to Emerson for a year, and then we met in college in the city. Did you just know you had to be back in New York? Was that something that you felt inside?
Yeah. When I was applying for schools, I only applied to colleges outside of New York because I thought I want to spend the rest of my life in New York, so I might as well take the next 4 years to grow and kind of get out. And then once I got out there, I met a lot of amazing people, and Emerson is great, but I missed the pulse of the city. I missed being in the heart of it. I missed being able to see shows. And I, was a little shit freshman who thought he knew everything. And I was like, I want to go back to New York to audition because I'm ready and I want to like audition for stuff and train and do everything. So I applied to Marymount on a whim, and I got a lot of money from them. And I was like, hey, let me move home and save on tuition dollars. And I'm really happy I did that.
Yeah, I just loved being in New York. I mean, I came here as a freshman as well when I was 17. I was introduced to so much wonderful culture and art and theater that like my life was missing. And the people that I met because of school, that was a game changer.
Yeah, I love your crew that you found in school because you guys were right around the same age as me. So I love seeing how connected you guys are still. And I still have the people that I bonded with in college. But you in particular, I feel like you left school with a really, really strongly connected group, which is so beautiful to see.
So when you graduated college, Broadway came calling quick, honey. She really did in the hit musical.
Oh, no, I don't know if I would say that national tour came quick.
Bring It On. I was there first preview, loved it. I knew I was gonna love it because of Lin-Manuel Miranda, of course. He was my inspiration for pursuing musical theater. But I had such a great time at Bring It On. People have rediscovered it recently, and I think it's a little underrated.
Yes. Yeah, I think in some ways it like slid under the radar, because we only were on Broadway for a few months. I think we opened in August and we closed December, I think 31st, right before the New Year. So it was only a few months. It was quick. But a lot of people around the country saw it, I guess, when it was on tour. And because it is such a perfect show for high school kids, right? Like there's no adults in the cast. It's all about teenagers and what they go through. And I think it captures, it sounds so pretentious, but like it captures the teenage experience in a really honest way. Like looking back at those songs and listening to some of the songs that Tom, Lynn, and Amanda wrote about what it was like to be a teenager finding your way, they're really honest. And it's a lot of kids can relate to that music, I think. And so that's why people have rediscovered it and productions are happening everywhere, which is great. Except you need to be careful that kids aren't like trying to tumble and flip and throw people in the air and catch it. Like you need to make sure that like all of that is safe, because I can foresee some disasters happening.
Now, speaking of flying, the next thing you swung into was Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark. one of the most, what is it? What do you want? Controversial,
Yeah.
biggest budget ever, but also like absolutely thrilling things I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was lucky to get to see you play Peter. I think I saw you were like one of your last performances on Broadway. What was it like joining the cast of that
Yeah.
show?
I joined about maybe a little over 2 years into their run. So a lot of the, the crazy stuff that people heard about had already happened. And so they were in a little bit more of a groove and they were better equipped to deal with some of the things that were happening. It was my second Broadway show and I was obviously elated to be doing it, but it was really fucking hard. It was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Playing that role and preparing for it and rehearsing for it, it was truly like training for a marathon because singing that score was insane, written by Bono and the Edge. It was like all this rock pop music that was, just really intense. And then you were on stage the entire show, only running off to like change your harness and your costume to get back on and then like strap in and like fly somewhere while you're like upside down, belting your face off. I had the dance captain taking me to the gym 3 times a week. When I wasn't with him, they were sending me to another core studio that was all about like connecting to my core so that with the flying, I could really understand how to maneuver my body. It was a lot of moving parts and I was a baby. Even though I had done a Broadway show before, this was like a completely different experience. I remember watching it being like, every night they do this? Like, I'm sorry, what?
Now, since then, you've been hopping around the country and in New York, helping develop brand new shows, recording new albums. You got Freaky Friday, Prince of Egypt, Bronx Tale. You've done so many fun new projects. And also, you've been at the Muni a bunch, doing some iconic musical theater roles. There's nothing more exciting than being able to put your own stamp on a brand new role. And speaking of creating new roles, we're going to get to see you on TV soon, correct?
I mean, we'll see just how soon because the world is crazy. But
right.
Yeah, yes, it is definitely happening.
Now, did you watch Gossip Girl growing up?
I did not watch Gossip Girl growing up. My little sister was obsessed with it. And of course, I was always like, wow, cool. Obviously, I've been binging it this entire quarantine.
Well, I am so excited to watch you on it because I loved Gossip Girl growing up, watched it every week. And I'm excited to see, I know it's like a spin-off, but like in the same universe. So I'm excited to see where they take the story. And I know they're talking about it being a very, diverse company of actors, which is exciting because the original iteration was very white.
And I am playing a queer character, which I'm really, really excited about. It might be the first like LGBTQ plus character I've played since doing Angel and Rent like 1,000 years ago. But I'm really excited for that. And for the show to have a major plotline that includes LGBT characters.
That's very, very exciting. Jason, I'm so happy we got to catch up. Thank you so much for joining me here today on my show. I so appreciate it. I so love you so much, and I can't wait to see you when this whole world decides to open back up.
Truly, same. I love that you're doing this, and thank you so much for having me. You're getting all sorts of fancy people like Hannah Cornell on here, so I'm just, flattered to be invited to the party. So yes, thank you for having me.
Thanks, Jason. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Come on and come and play in Kiki's closet tonight.